My name is Jeffrey Ralph. I'm from the Beta Iota chapter at the University of Arizona. And I want to tell my story, a little bit about how I got here. So my transition into college was a difficult one. I completed my high school education in Australia, so I had to deal with moving to another country, losing friends, girlfriend, those type of losses. Moved back to a city where I didn't know many people. Got to college, didn't know anyone, and I was in the pits, you could say. I was diagnosed with depression a few years before that, and the moving was just added a whole additional struggle. And my mom asked me to check out the fraternities in Rush, and that was the only reason I did, because before that I wasn't really too set on it. And I got a bid to Theta Chi, accepted it, didn't really know what I was getting myself into. And but then towards the end of my pledgeship, the week right before initiation, that really showed me what it meant to be at Theta Chi, and it is the reason I'm here, and it changed my life. And I just wanted to share that. So our marshal had a initiation week plan of activities we were going to do every night to teach us the values of the fraternity and whatnot. But one of the nights there was a bit of a conflict between the marshal and the president, so we didn't really have an event that night. So instead we were just all me and my pledge class, who I should say was about 40 dudes at the time, 40 guys, so decently sized. We sat around and we were like, well, what can we do as a pledge class? What can we do when our marshal isn't guiding us? And we came up with the idea of every one of our pledge brothers was gonna share the worst, most unfortunate, or hardest thing they've been through in their life and what they gained from that. And at first, people were a little skeptical, weren't too willing, but we got into it, and it's amazing what happened, because I was just there with 40 dudes that some were some of the strongest dudes I've known, toughest dudes, not really showing much emotion, but there's not one dry eye in the place during those talks, and I had no idea. The way I saw all my brothers just transformed instantly. I had no idea of the things that they were going through. Some of the things were shocking to me, like, drug problems, losing best friends, losing family members, illnesses. And I personally talked about my depression at the time, and we probably took about 4 hours total talking about all this stuff, and not one pledge left, and not one was interrupted. But so everyone's stories were heard, and after that night was probably the strongest sense of brotherhood I've ever felt in my life. And ever since then, our whole fraternity has tried to emulate the brotherhood found within my pledge class. After I spoke, 2 or 3 brothers came up to me, and they just told me that they had been through similar things to what I had been through in terms of the depression, and that they had my back, and changed my life. It's been a year. you know, say I'm not depressed anymore. It's because of them.